Hey everyone, it's Brian again with iGroup Technologies, and we're bringing you another daily DTG. As you remember last time, we talked about the container shipping shortage that is gripping the apparel decorating industry, and not just ours, but just about every other industry globally. So I wanted to touch base on this again a little bit and bring up some news articles to show you a little bit more what is actually going on. I just looked at the news again today and saw several more articles. One here was where the Toy Association president warns that some children's gifts will cost up to 10% more this Christmas, and kids won't be able to get what they want due to bottlenecks at the ports, which could take until mid-2022 to clear up. Now, we know we've had this issue with getting containers in and then unloaded onto trucks and distributed. But our wonderful politicians around the world, and especially here in the US, have figured out a way to solve this problem, and it will make your Christmas that much better. They're going to open up in a special deal with the Los Angeles port, which is dubbed as America's Port, to expand the working hours in a bid to ease these delays of getting the containers out. Now, what they say could increase the output from the Port of Los Angeles and the Port of Long Beach by a combined 3,500 containers a week. Now, I want you to remember from our last video that we did that just the Port of Long Beach, I believe it was set to import 1 million more containers this year than last year. This is only going to help out potentially, they said, could help alleviate or could increase the output by 3,500 containers a week. 3,500, 52, doesn't even come close to 1 million. Now, they say it could. And I will stay apolitical here because I think both sides do a horrible job and they say a lot of what people want to hear to make it sound like they're doing something. And in this case, I think it's actually true. They want to sound like they're saying they are doing something to help alleviate the problems. And that doesn't do much for us, for the people that are trying to find t-shirts to print or goods and toys for Christmas presents this coming year. So in my thought pattern process with all this is probably might want to do your shopping early for Christmas so you can maybe find something if you want to go that route, or just make something at home. Anyways, doesn't matter. The biggest issue is they said it could clear up or help clear up some of this bottleneck. Now, the problem with this is a couple of the other articles. Even if they increase the output and open up the ports 24/7 to get the containers off the ships faster, the problem we have is there is a very serious shortage of truck drivers. I found an article on the NPR that talks about there's a shortage of drivers, and it's one of the many reasons for the pileup at the shipping ports. I've seen a couple of estimates. They say it's somewhere between 25 and maybe 30+% shortage of drivers. So even if we could clear up the ports, we have a shortage of truck drivers. So how are we going to get all this out of the ports if we don't have the truck drivers? Doesn't matter what the politicians say, it's actual reality that affects you and I. So that being said, we might be able to clear up the ports. I don't believe that either, just because the numbers do not add up. And then, hey, we're running short on truck drivers. This article here talks about they can't pump enough truck drivers out of their truck driving school to meet the demand. And this is, they did the analogy, or they told the story about a local truck driving company, or a local company that needed 11 new drivers, and they couldn't even get those. Yet we're going to pump out a whole lot more containers, 3,500 a week. That's 1-2 containers, depending on how you ship it. Best way to ship it is via rail. That's the cheapest way. But trying to get those containers out of the port is another big issue. And even if you put them on a train, they have to go to a train place where they unload those, even if they ship it across the country, and you still need truck drivers all across the country for this. So that brings me to our third articles, which is where it talks about drivers wanted, the U.S. supply chain can't keep on trucking. This is from the Washington Times, and they talk specifically about this. It says the nation's trucking industry is facing significant headwinds in dealing with a massive shortage of drivers. Just one of the factors contributing to a supply chain bottleneck that is driving up prices and threatening to put a crimp in the Christmas shopping season. And this was the article. It says currently 20 to 25% of all truck drivers are still missing from the workforce. 20 to 25. I was wrong. I said 25 to 30 plus. It's 20 to 25. Okay. Now, we could say, hey, we could do exactly what we talked about doing at the ports. If I was a politician, this is what I would say. Look, we're going to increase and open the port 24/7. Sounds like a great deal. We'll eliminate all these problems. But, sir, what about the shortage of truck drivers? I've got an even better idea. We will remove the FMCSA regulations, which basically regulates how long and how much a truck driver can drive. Because currently, right now, if we look at the FMCSA, which is the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, it limits drivers to property carrying drivers. They can do an 11-hour driving limit after 10 consecutive hours of being off duty. Now, they have a variety of different things. That is just your basic. So truck drivers can only drive for 11 hours, then they have to take 10 hours off. Remember, we have a shortage. So, hey, the solution would be, let's waive this so we can clear up the ports, right? That would be a problem too. Why? Because of safety. They put this in place because driving, if you've ever driven long distances, which most people have, you realize you can get tired driving. You just get in that zone, and sometimes it's like, and that's what causes accidents. Now let's throw this onto truck drivers. It's not a good idea, but we could say that as a politician. So all these articles point to the fact that we are still going to experience congestion and clogging and delays in getting containers into the ports and distributed and onto our shelves, or in the case of the apparel industry, into our warehouses so that we can distribute product to you effectively. Now, I know this sounds all negative. What can we do? Realistically, there's not a whole lot that can be done currently right now today. The best thing you can do is try to do triage planning. Make sure you have the goods that you need. Make sure that things are in place for you, and maybe that you have a little bit of stock. I just looked again today at several websites, and a lot of popular shirts are still missing. They have zero inventory in black, or if they do, it's at some far-flung warehouse up in the middle of Timbuktu that you're never going to be able to afford to get anyways, because of the increased cost in shipping in general, because we don't have enough truck drivers to get us the goods. It sounds really bad, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's not exactly the greatest of situations. Now, the good thing is, as Americans, and I believe as a people, we can figure out how to solve this as long as we keep people out of the way. And when I say people, I'll just go back to the politicians in general. You know, I know a lot of them intend to do well, but a lot of times they just screw things up. Let the market work itself out. We will figure it out. People are going to get creative on how we can make things work so we can get the products in so that we have shirts to print and you have shirts to be able to sell. I just wanted to bring this up to you guys so that you could see a little bit more what's going on. It's interesting from these different perspectives. If you look at it, we have cloggage at the ports, and it's just a huge microcosm. It's a huge ecosystem that we are trying to work and live within. And a lot of what we do is like, throwing a pebble in the ocean as individuals. But I believe that as far as RTP is concerned and these other large shirt manufacturers, we're working to find solutions to these problems. That is what we do. That is what you do as a business owner. Problem, find a solution. That's business. So that being said, we are working hard to try to increase our inventory. And I just wanted to shed a little more light onto why we have these problems and what is actually going on out there, so that you don't think that it's just this company or that company that's having issues or whatever. That is not the case. You can see it if you go to the store right now. I've seen other articles where there are bare shelves of basic necessity items. And I touched on that last video that we did. If we're importing that many more containers at one port, and you multiply that times all the ports in and around the US, why the crap are we still having shortages on the shelves? Part of it is we can't get the product out of the ports and delivered. But again, small portion of the industry in a much bigger world. I just wanted to bring you the news, sort of explain a little bit about what is going on. And, if you have suggestions, ideas, comments, please leave them in the comments section below. Tap that like button and subscribe, because we're going to continue to bring about news and information related to the direct-to-garment industry to you on a more regular basis. Appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.